Facebook page so I can watch the people rolling in. So I'm going to do that quickly. Good morning, everybody. This is Ann Sieg, founder of the E-commerce Business School, and this is Saturday morning live that we do every week at 9 a.m. Central. So let us know if you can hear and see us and that we're live. And as you can see, we have a very special guest today, and that is Aaron Stitch. So good morning to you, Aaron.
Good morning, Ann. Good morning, everyone.
And good morning to you, Brian. And
good
Brian,
morning.
You're enjoying the freedom lifestyle. You are on the road, right?
Yep, you better believe it. What you don't see back here is that we're actually just in a parking lot in Sacramento, and we stumbled into this some type of clearance sale that is here in this parking lot that Terry wants to go to. So it starts in about an hour, and she's going to be running out there and getting into all the boxes. They have just crates and crates and crates that they're putting out in this parking lot. So that's the lifestyle.
Oh, I just heard Terry in the background.
She said they sell on Amazon, whoever
There
they
you
are.
go.
Yeah. They know the
So-
success of that as well.
On the road. So good morning, everybody. And this is unique today because we believe we are doing a simulcast on the YouTube at the same time. Yes, we do have an e-commerce business school channel. It is packed, absolutely packed with videos. Tons and tons and tons of videos there on our e-commerce business school YouTube channel. So you can definitely learn about that and check it out. A ton of information there. So we'll officially kick off at the top of the hour. Oh, Kurt is saying YouTube is good. Awesome. Yes, thank you, Coach Kurt, for that. And Lisa's saying the email was sent. So good deal. All right. So, and I got my little notice through Facebook, and now I want to get to the page so that I can see us live and greet the people. And Brian, I know you're doing your best with the second monitor, right?
Oh, yeah. I've got it under control. It's all happening. Just like
Awesome.
planned. Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, good morning to Jorge. Good morning to Kay in the house. Good morning to Marianne up in Wisconsin. By the way, I got kudos yesterday in one of my peak peak graduate interviews, giving you kudos using it was from Robin, actually. Robin, good morning to you. Robin was giving kudos. I believe it was Robin. Okay, and Eugene, good morning to you. Anybody else? Donald, good morning. Krista, good morning. From Sacramento, Brian, no less.
Who's from Sacramento?
I just went through the
Krista
feed.
Gill. That's great.
Yes.
We're going to Denios, Krista. That's our thing today, is to go to Denios after this parking lot event.
So what is Denios? You got our curiosity.
It's a huge flea market. It's in Roseville, just outside of Sacramento. It's been here for years and years. And Terry and I, we've been together for 30 years, and this is where we first started coming to as a young couple.
Awesome. Wow. Congrats on 30 years. Okay, Nick and Danita and Nicole and William. All righty. Lots of folks rolling in. Awesome. You guys are in for a real treat today. So again, welcome to Saturday Morning Live. We're thrilled to have you here. We do this every week at 9 a.m. Central. And that is a focus on e-commerce sellers. I want to welcome all our new members. I know we have 3 new members who just came in yesterday to our 90-day peak performance mentoring and e-commerce acceleration program. So high five to our newest members. I don't have the whole list in front of me right now, but a very, very warm welcome to you. You're going to love this community. You're going to love all the support that you get and stellar step-by-step training. All right, we always go through the 3 pillars of e-commerce success. We're going to do that, of course. And that starts with generate cash flow is pillar number 1. And that's what you're going to hear in today's call with Aaron Stitch about, as you can see in our little picture there, it's turning the spigot on and letting the cash come out. And this is such a contrast to other business models where most brick and mortar, it's 5 years before they get into profitability. And that simply is not the case here with e-commerce, and especially when you're watching your numbers and paying attention to your profits. So that's pillar number 1, is to generate cash flow, jumpstart your business and keep it going. Number 2 is to automate systems. Why do we do that? So you can free up your time and scale up your business. And I'm going to say with my peak graduate interviews, most everybody is saying the reason they are so interested in peak performance mentoring is because of the automation aspect. They are looking for time freedom. So we have that for you. And pillar number 3 is to build assets you can pass on to your family or sell to investors for a profit. All right. So again, a very warm, warm welcome, everybody. I got my cup of joe. Anybody else? Aaron, do you happen to have one of these? Because we got to get one out to you if you don't.
There we go.
I do.
You do? Okay, good. All righty. Want to make sure of that. Okay, so we have a really special guest that we want to have a special time together here with you folks, because you can learn so much from people's journey. And Aaron has quite a journey with us. Aaron, why don't you share with us how it was that you came into our community in the first place?
Yeah. So from, I think, some other businesses, Ann, that we were in similar, some things that I'd gotten on your list. And so I got some information from you. It would have been in 2016, probably early summer. And then in June of 2016, I decided to do book flipping profit system. That just seemed like something that was up my alley. I kind of like to find a good deal. And so I went ahead and purchased that. I was actually in New York in July of 2016. I took my book, because we actually had the hard copy book, the ring binder. I took that with me and then got online, set up some things back there. So the guys that I were with actually kind of wanted to go to the city on the weekend. And I'd been there, I'd been, in the city. So I decided to stay home and stay in the room and go through the information. So I actually went through the information in my hotel room in New York in July of 2016. I got home, I got sourcing right away. And then the last week of August, my books went, which is, as everybody knows, for textbook season, is prime time. They went live. And I still remember I was in the Oakland airport because I had been out on a trip visiting my mom. And I checked my account. And by the end of the weekend, I'd sold almost $1,000 in books. So
holy smokes. Yeah. All right. A little bigger history here, so everybody knows. For one, Aaron is a peak graduate. So there's many, many peak graduates who are listening and watching. We also want you to know, relative to the book conversation, Brian, that's how you got started on Amazon with selling used books. And you were training on a lot of topics here at the E-commerce Business School. We trained at an event together, and you sent me a special letter saying, Ann, I've had some people asking me about my book selling. And I think I could put together a training for that. And I said, well, not quite just yet, but real soon. And so I think that was in April or May. And by September, that was in 2015, I believe, Aaron, we released it. And so that's something that you had as an expertise for 5 years.
That's right.
Brian?
Mm-hmm. In fact, Denios, the flea market, I used to come here and scout for books, used books.
So for those of you who are in peak, I want you to know that you have this course that Aaron, that's how he kickstarted his business. It's called Book Flipping Profit System. It's in your back office. And yes, you can do it all online too. So let's continue on with your journey there, Aaron. So that was 2016.
Yeah.
It's kind of so curious with your travel and how everyone's off on the trip, but you're hunkered down in the hotel room, cracking open the book and learning how to run a business. You ran a construction company, and you still have that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's touch on that point, because we do specifically try to reach out to current business owners. Mm-hmm. You've got a big, contrast there between the two.
Yeah.
What has it looked like? The ease, how quickly you earn money, etc.
Yeah. So I have a small company. I've had employees in the past. I actually don't have employees anymore. I kind of specialize. I'm kind of a specialty. I've kind of got a little bit of a niche there, a little bit of a groove. But my body is, I've got a torn medial meniscus in my left knee that's kind of partially healed. My shoulders have what they call cartilage islands in them. So both of them are in pain most of the time. So those kinds of, I have carpal tunnel. I'm going to have surgery on my wrists and my hands probably next month. So those types of things, as far as having to have your feet on the ground, your boots, on the ground, it's so nice to be able to sit home in a chair in my jammies if I want, and to be able to source products. It's just so different. And so getting back to my journey, in January of 2017, I sold almost $7,000 in books, or over 7,000. So that was only several months period of time. And at the time, I wasn't actually doing any online sourcing. I didn't even know that there were options to do online sourcing. That was all sourcing at information places that you can find in the book flipping profit system. In the back, Brian talks about that in that information. So, yeah.
I think it's really interesting. I just have to tap into this because you can see in this call, we're baby boomers. Okay, let's just say it for what it is. I too am riddled with injuries from my previous career as a gymnastics coach. Had severe tendonitis. I couldn't barely. I was so handicapped by it. I had to actually quit. And we get these worn out, tired bodies. And this is really a godsend, having something that you can do from home, like you say, in your jammies if you want. And what about cost? What about risk in terms of what's that look like?
Oh, yeah. This is such a cheap business to get into. It's not even $40 a month for a seller's account. Now you've got some other costs, obviously, as you gear it up and as you scale your business, and that's fine. But I've never seen a business where you can literally make a six-figure income with a $39 a month business. It just doesn't exist.
Exactly. And again, that you can do from home. You can take it wherever you want. Well, let's continue on with your journey. So you started in 2016, and by January 2017, you sold 7,000. How about profit? What was that looking like for you?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things I love about books is the ROI, because at the time I bought a book in California at a yard sale while I was visiting my mom for $5. It was an art history book that sold fairly quickly for $89. I bought a book, a children's book at a Goodwill about an hour from here. I used to go on tours of the different places. I had my days for sourcing, but I spent 50 cents on that book. It was called Trumpets for Turtles. I still remember the name of this book. It sold for $89 really quickly. So that really kind of opened my eyes. So the ROI is just amazing. I was probably cost, shipping, and everything, that $7,000. I may have been in $500 in all that. So the ROI is just incredible when you buy books at that level.
My son and I were doing books, and we sold one for $500 to a gentleman in Germany. It was something, I don't remember if it was to do with art or architecture. And he's like, Mom, check this out. Send me a screenshot. Oh my gosh. So you can get some very nice ROI. Perhaps Dr. Seuss is, you're aware, I bet. Because I checked it out.
I have a few of them downstairs that are sitting there waiting for the price to go up. I just sent a few of them in. So yeah, they've gotten really hard to come by. But yeah, you can find them. They're out there for sure.
I had to buy up some myself. But all right, so that was in 2017. So let's continue on with your journey.
So one of the reasons, so my business was actually kind of on pause for about 3 years. In December of 2018, I found out that I had prostate cancer. And so books were getting a little bit hard to come by. There's some more people sourcing, that sort of thing. So slowing down a little bit. And so I felt like with the journey that I had, I'd never experienced anything like that I needed to just put things on hold for a bit, which I did. I kind of clearanced my books and, got the rest of what was still in inventory out, and then put my business on hold. You can just put your pro account on hold for a while, which is really nice. It's a nice thing. But then fast forward to October 22nd, 2020. So just this last October, I got an email from you again, and the simplest online business. And so I attended that webinar on October 25th. And the interesting thing about that is that the next morning and that night, I thought, I've got the experience. I've done Amazon before. I can probably do this. But it did intrigue me doing other products and other things other than books, because I'd thought about that before with Amazon, but I'd never really done anything about it. There's other, Shop Your Way to Wealth. There's the other products, the other programs that you can do. But in this particular situation, looking at it, I thought, boy, it's, Amazon is so huge. And then we saw what it did in 2020 with the, with the pandemic and what happened there. I thought, boy, this just seems like the right time to do it. But it's funny, the next morning, my wife and I always sit in bed and have coffee and we look out at the Canyon Ski Resort. We're in Park City. And so we look out the window to the resort in the mountains. And as we're sitting there, I was telling her, I think I'll just probably do it myself. And then as we talked through the course of the discussion, I actually had talked myself into, this is stupid. Think about what happened with book flipping profit system. Think about the learning curve and the value that you got there. And by the time we got done with coffee, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, I'm going to jump in. And that's when I did. So Coach Kurt and I talked, I think that following Tuesday morning, and the rest is kind of history.
Okay. I want to touch on that because I know probably everyone has that kind of little tussle. Well, heck, man, I could just do this myself. I'll be able to figure it out. And once you get into peak and you realize how detailed this business is, and I'm doing all these graduation calls with our peak members, and people are indeed saying that, wow, this is pretty detailed. And it is. And it's really, if you want to take that long circuitous, figure it out on your own path, or in Brian's case, it's definitely 10,000 hours of expertise on books alone, and all these spreadsheets and these tools that Brian has created that make our lives easier and faster because of the hard-earned experience from Brian, the sweat equity that Brian put in, like at the very place you're at today, doing the sourcing, Brian, all that sweat equity, we are leveraging that to make our paths that much faster. And I am going to say, before the book program was released, we were being mentored as a family personally by Brian that summer of 2015 with my son David and my husband Brian. It was so funny because Brian, he was getting excited about books. I don't know if you remember this, Brian. And he runs out to Dollar Tree or something, and he bought a bunch of cheap books. And we come back excited to Brian, and I was a little bit kind of like, there's two Brians. My husband is Brian as well. I was kind of, I don't know. My Brian's thinking, man, this is going to be a snap. And then Brian looks over the books, and it was like, no, not quite, and it was much more detailed than we realized, the finesse of it. And so we were hand coached, mentored by Brian before there was a course. So do you remember those days, Brian?
I remember that, and I remember him doing that. And, those books seem like a good deal. Maybe Aaron has had a little bit of that experience right at first. They look like a good deal, but we follow the data. It's not how it looks. We just trust the data.
Yeah. So we had our learning experience without the training. The training is so worth it. I mean, my Brian got excited, and that too, people get excited and they run out and they start buying some stuff without really knowing the data. So, alrighty. So that was, you got into peak, and you had your delay for about how long was that while you were recovering from your cancer?
It was about 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was a significant setback. But like you said, it was such a godsend that what business out there can you pick up and resume? And your account still had all the reviews. And that's important history and data. You worked hard to build up your seller rating. And if you had to start from scratch, well, we all know what that looks like. That's a lot of work. So there you open it up again. And just so everybody knows, if that happens, you can pause it and then resume it. So you're not having to crank out that $40 a month. So that's a godsend. So let's pick up the story of when you got into peak then.
Yeah. So in October, I started this last in 2020. And just a little side note on that, as far as the value of, I almost opened another Amazon account. I didn't realize that one's thing, but Brian in one of our coaching sessions said, oh, wait a second, I don't think you have to do that. And then we walked through it, found in my back office that all I had to do was just flip the switch and it was back on. So it could have caused a lot of problems and been a lot of hassle opening another account, which they don't like you to have more than one pro account. So so I started peak the end of October and jumped right in. I was really, really busy at work, so juggling everything was a little bit difficult, but I still jumped right in. I worked hard on learning how to source products, using the spreadsheet. Having the spreadsheet tied to AZ Insights and being able to transfer that data over is just invaluable. It's just so easy to use and so easy to do. Gives you the metrics, gives you the information. Again, that's one of those things that if somebody tried to do that on their own, it would be virtually impossible. So to try to, unless they're really good with spreadsheets, and even then you have to know the metrics and the data and everything to put in there in order for it to come out. So,
Yeah, that is a godsend. So for those of you who aren't aware, those of you who are in peak, it is Brian's product evaluation worksheet. And we have a partnership of sorts with the owner of AZ Insight. It's so beautiful that it is kind of like an API zapped basically from what he has in his software straight into the spreadsheet. And that makes it so amenable for VAs as well. So that is insane leverage. And that's what the name of the game here is, the numbers, and who can get to the numbers fastest as well.
Yeah, very good.
Yep. About the data. So I know we have a couple of people saying here, asking questions about what we're talking about. And would you like to send people to join EPS just to let people know that
Yeah.
are brand new?
It sounds like we've got some new folks who are not familiar with the e-commerce business school. You can go to our homepage. It's joinebs.com. There's many, many case studies there. We also have a blog. If you look at the top, and you also see the blue button at the top that says free training, and you can watch that and check out to learn more there too. So this is it's great to know that people are asking, and it's new folks watching. So to continue on, you're in peak, you're loving the A's in Insight, as well as Brian's product evaluation worksheet. And you've got that balance between, you came in with your understanding of books, but here now is to open up a whole new world of additional products available to you.
Yes.
So let's talk through that part.
Yeah. So learning, there's a lot to learn on that. And again, there's so much learning curve that's taken off by being part of the community and having the coaching calls, and every week being able to be on several of those and asking questions in the Facebook group, those types of things. And I bought some products that I shouldn't have bought. And I bought some products that you learn the history of a product. You learn, Amazon's out of the product. Well, that's great. Boy, this is an opportunity. And then Amazon gets back on the product. But I have a replenishable right now that I sell 8 to 10 units a month, and it's very small. It's not a big deal. I probably make about $4 profit, but that one replenishable covers my costs and my Amazon fees for the month. It's a very simple thing to reorder. I send those through my prep center. They take care of them. I don't ever touch the product. So that part of the automation is very nice. I'm really focusing a lot on replenishables as well to make that part easy right now outside of books. And then at the same time, looking at other products as well, obviously the one-times, the one-offs. And I was able to get ungated in food and grocery and gourmet. So that's a nice one because there's some replenishable items in there as well. People that go through those things.
So you are very familiar with, because people get this as a peak member. Does this look familiar to you, Aaron?
It does, yeah. I have to update that.
Yeah, I noticed that, by the way. We had a student success call yesterday. Literally, I was looking at, there's Aaron's poster, and I'm pretty sure that's higher than that.
I was waiting until yesterday. I actually hit a milestone yesterday, so I was waiting till yesterday. So
beautiful. Yeah. So just so everyone knows, so we like to train our members to chart their progress, and this is not the only tool for charting your progress. We also have an end of day tracker tool that's in our back office, but this is a visual, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, you're chasing that thermometer up the hill here, and then when we see people pop their 100K, so it's that journey upwards. So give us a little outline of how your progress has gone numbers wise since you came back into peak.
So yeah, yesterday I was kind of watching it all day long, and then early afternoon I hit the 25,000 mark. So yeah, so a fourth of the way there. And my wife actually wants me to go through and on the one side have that number, but on the other side have my profit. So I'm going to start putting in from Amazon all of my deposits and where I'm at on that. So you can kind of see your ROI. You can see, because those are your true numbers. Obviously,
Right.
You can sell $100,000. I've always said that volume is not profit. So we want to be profitable in anything. And so having the books are a good ROI. So I think I've got some pretty good numbers to post on the other side. I just haven't done that yet, but I need to.
Yeah, I want to hit on that. So you're absolutely right. And you're astute as a business owner. You were keenly aware of that when you came in to selling on Amazon. Is numbers are great. Yeah, but what are your profits? So when you say on the other side, are you talking about actually using the chart for that purpose?
Yeah, on the other side of the numbers on the right side of that chart, but she's going to have me write it on the left-hand side as I go when I got payments from Amazon and where I'm at on my profit. Yeah.
The wife likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But how much money are we really bringing in here?
Right. Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, that's a great tip for all our members is on the other side. And maybe that's will be a second iteration of our thermometer, quite frankly, so that it is just that the numbers look great, but what is your profit? So do you have any kind of idea of, okay, so 25 in sales, do you know roughly what you profited?
I'm pretty close to 50%, I think, or probably over. I try to do, when I'm sourcing books, and I try to do 100% ROI if I possibly can, or more. The online sourcing, you're going to pay a little bit more, but if you look at the BSR and you know where your numbers are and you know that the book's going to sell, it doesn't matter if you're in the 30, 40, 40, 50, 60% range on ROI, because the book's going to go in, it's going to turn pretty quickly. You're going to get that money back. So, but I do still like to be, I'm pretty particular. If you're spending a little bit more on, but you don't really have to care if you're spending 50 cents on a book. But if you're going to spend 20 or 30 and the book's going to sell for 80 or 90, those numbers are a little bit, your cash outlay is a little bit higher. So you just got to watch your numbers a little bit. It's like any other product. You're still looking at it. I use the A's and Insights as I look at the BSR, the 90, the 180, 90, and the 30-day. Look at the BSR drops. You look at the buy box price, because on a lot of books, there is a buy box because it's new. A lot of them, when Amazon's not on it, there's no new, there's usually not a buy box, but sometimes there is. And so looking at those metrics, I also use Keep at the bottom. I've gotten used to looking at the Keep chart. You can look back through the year. That'll tell you, and we're coming up on, I think, the third textbook season kind of in summer, in May. There's another one. The biggest one, of course, Brian knows this, is August, September. But I sold $10,000 worth of books in January this year after just getting started again. First product sold December 9th, I believe. So by that time, I had loaded enough inventory in there to where I had $10,000 in sales just in January. So that's as far as the sales, and as far as reloading. That's one thing I would tell people: don't let your money sit in the bank. Just keep spending it, because you're not going to make your return on investment if your money's sitting in the bank. It's not a good place to have it.
Exactly. That money in the bank versus the money that you drive through Amazon when you do your numbers right. I want to dig deeper on that. This is so critical, what you just went through. And that is, I always say to people, just like in real estate investment, you make your money when you buy. That decision-making process when you buy, a more astute real estate investor knows how to do the numbers. I was a ranked newbie. My husband and I, we did not fare very well. We did not have a mentor. This is years ago. We knew nothing except reading Robert Kiyosaki's books. And, and that just speaks so much to having a mentor, that I look back on that and I kicked myself for the failure in that industry. But a lot of that was, we had no mentor. We were on our own. And there's so many things where things can go wrong in that industry. And the loss there is a heck of a lot bigger. Whereas you mitigate your risk, you spread it out amongst these products. In real estate, you're taking a chunk. We took a chunk out of our house, Oh, let's take the equity out and chunk it in over here. And we didn't know what we were doing. Risk, right? And so that wasn't as pretty a story. Let's just say that. So getting back to the numbers, I want to kind of expand on what you just went through there, because I think if people breeze through this, well, I'm in a hurry, no, don't be in a hurry when it comes to the data evaluation. Can you go through that again? You started by talking about the BSR and you've got A's and Insight open. Let's just paint through that one more time.
Yeah.
A little more slowly, because it's so important.
Yeah. So the first thing I look at is to keep a graph. It's set for 3 months, but I usually bump on the 1 year. So I look back and see the history of the book or the product, whatever it is that you're looking at, in this case, books. And usually I'll see that dip. Right now, we're looking back to about May or so, March, April, and you'll usually see a little dip there, and then it'll go back up, and back in August, it usually goes way back if the book is good. And then in January, you'll see the other dip for that second, for that semester. But as I go through there, I look at that, see what that looks like. I then look at the A's and Insights has some other very critical things. The BSR drops are how much a book sells. The larger that number, the better on the drops. And then the buy box, if you see a consistent buy box price, that it holds its value. Even now, since we're out of a textbook season, because a lot of books will sell, better during textbooks. See, some books sell, even textbooks will sell year round at a very good clip. And so from there, I dropped down to again, to that Keepa chart, and make sure you can, as you run through that, you can see the used price, you can see, those different things. That Amazon recently changed their metrics on when you open up all buying options. It used to open up the entire page and show you the full listing, and it doesn't do that anymore. So it's a little bit more difficult. It opens up that box on the side, but I look at the competition. I look at how many are there, how many sales approximate a month, those different metrics, and see sometimes there, if there's 150 used and they start at $1.50, even if the book sells for $100, I usually pass that one up. There's just too much competition. My money's probably better spent somewhere else, that it's going to turn quicker. So you can't, I think Brian said it earlier, sometimes you see the shiny thing or it looks really good, but you got to take the emotion out of it. And it's just on sheer raw data. Just because we think a product's going to sell or we think it's good doesn't necessarily mean it's going to. The things that sell on, I didn't think trumpets for turtles was going to, that I bought for 50 cents was going to, I thought maybe the chart that I was looking at on the app I was using was wrong, but it wasn't. That book sold for $90, and I still don't know how to this day, but I don't really care. The point was that, it did.
Yeah.
So our current members that are listening to this, they're recognizing all these terms, all the data, all the strategy here, because it's when you're shopping online for products, whether it be books or what we call non-media products, toys and kitchen items and all of that, you're using the same tools, you're reading the same data. And the advantage with books is that they're a seasonal item, so that you can buy them at pretty low prices in the off season. Aaron mentioned that books sell. There's some that sell for high prices year round, but the textbooks, that's seasonal. The same thing, it can be done with arbitrage, what we call, buying from online stores, retail stores that are online, their websites, that you can buy seasonal items too. So Christmas is a big season with the rise in prices and demand for toys and popular items and entertainment items, but also there's lots of other seasons. Summer is coming up, and so there's all the summer sports, and then back to school is another one. And then right now I'm going to be taking advantage of Mother's Day. That's coming up, and I sell gift items. That's a season. So it's the same data. And that's something we teach in Peak Performance. We're teaching you how to understand the supply and demand marketplace that Amazon really is, how to use the tools, how to interpret the data, how to not do emotional buying, as Aaron said. And so a lot of our members, when they come in, we're recommending that they buy from retail stores, but we're not going to send them to studying how to sell books, although we do have the Book Flipping Profit System as part of their course. So after a little while, they learn online arbitrage. Then it's a great time, if they want to step into books as well.
Right. It's provided as a bonus within Peak Performance Mentoring. And I tell people, this is yet another 100K income stream that you can layer into your business if you want to. It's a whole nother stream of income. What I want to tap into, Aaron, is, you had your business going, you had your illness that kept you away for about 3 years. I didn't realize it was for that length of time. Tell me how you feel about your business. I remember in your call with Brian, you like sourcing. You said that you like sourcing, but just, you like hunting for the deals. So talk about your business and what your vision is, because here you have two businesses. You have construction in a niche, and you have your Amazon business, which you're just in awe of the beauty of the model. But where do you see your business going, and what is your affinity for your business that you have?
Well, on the other side, the product side, the non-media, as Brian said, product side, I'm working on gearing that up. I've worked with leads lists and different things till now as far as sourcing a product, but we're working on hiring a VA to handle that side of it. I'm a little bit, when it comes to books, and maybe you can let me get into this a little bit, I was going to have everybody, or let everybody know some of the things you need to kind of watch for when you're buying books online, some of the things to look out for, that sort of thing, in a minute here when we get a moment. But yeah, gearing that side up so that that's on autopilot, that part of it. Books to me was so easy. I probably spend, like I was telling you guys earlier, I use my downtime to find books. I use TV time to find books when I'm online, when I'm just relaxing a little bit. And then I probably only spend maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a week prepping books. It's that part of it, I've got it down. It's very easy for me to do. And I don't necessarily mind the hands-on part of that. And there's some reasons why I do that as well, especially when you're buying a used book online. But I don't know if you want me to get into that, a little bit of that information now, as far as the things to watch for, get a little bit of helpful hints.
I think that's going a little too deep, at least for Saturday Morning Live.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine. Yeah.
Maybe it'll be internal for our members.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize you can buy books on Amazon and sell them on Amazon. I was going to make that point. That's the joy, the happiness of a pro account. And that's why it's so important. Prime, you can buy a textbook for a merchant from a merchant fulfilled textbook, and it's going to take you 10 days to get it, but you can turn around and sell that for 4 or 5 times more than they sold it to you for. That's just the way it works. And especially during textbook season, that's the way it works. I bought dozens and dozens of books on Amazon and resold them on Amazon for a good profit.
It almost sounds too good to be true. Say what? You buy on Amazon and then you just turn around and flip it on the same darn book for 4 or 5x. And this is FBA. And some of the merchant fulfilled just don't know this little secret, and that's okay. We get to take advantage of it. So that's the awesome part of being an FBA seller, is we end up in the buy box and they see that book and they're ready to buy. So that's fantastic. So your affinity for your business, you love the sourcing, you make money in your downtime, TV time, as you call it, instead of just zoned out on the TV. You're kind of, you're watching your show and you're making money as you go. And the future is moving more into scale with the product part, getting the VA, etc. So the future is looking very bright for your business. After, I'm so glad you read my email, the simplest business model. And we have a training tomorrow evening, or an invite for people to learn about that. We'll get into that slide in a few minutes, because here you've been a long time member and you were a previous subscriber of mine from years ago, I believe, and opened the email and you thought, well, this looks good. And you had a chat with your wife and, well, I was thinking to do this on my own, but I think I'm smarter than that to know I ought to go with an expert. And that is the true smarts, is knowing that a mentor is worth their money in spades. So awesome.
Hey, Aaron, I want to ask you about one other part, and this is in peak. I'm going to go back to the slide. There's a picture right here in the middle of the slide, and it's got a bunch of boxes that this is a shipment that you're sending into Amazon, and it says, okay, Ed, here's another one for you. What's going on there?
So Ed and I was commenting on other people's shipments. Because everybody will post, hey, I'm feeding the beast. Here's, my next shipment or my first shipment. And Ed says, hey, we never see you. I'd comment and he said, hey, how about you posting some? So I said, well, I send most everything product wise through my prep center, but I always do my own books due to condition issues and some other things that I've done that through the prep center and it just didn't work out. So I do all my own books. So what I did in that situation is I went ahead and posted a couple of shipments that I had sent in on there. And the reason I tagged Ed in that was he had kind of egged me on a little bit. So
there's a little bit of is it competition, friendly competition there?
Maybe a little bit. It's kind of nice to have the community seeing what you're doing and have people, see, again, the Facebook group, getting answers and having that information and having that little camaraderie is really nice to be able to, to share that with one another.
Yeah. When I first started my Amazon business, I did it alone and I operated in a vacuum. I didn't know if I was doing things right. I bought the wrong books, to begin with. I made all those mistakes. And had I been able to be a part of a community like this, it would have made all the difference in the world. Plus making it my success so much more quicker.
Yeah, I think, and you probably remember the saying from network marketing years ago, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And they use that a lot, but I really feel that that's the way this is with this business here. It is your own business. You can do with it whatever you want. I get back to Ed's, Ed Dassey. He got in, he kind of, went along. And finally his wife said, are you going to, is this going to be a hobby or a business? And then he got serious about it, and look where he is now. And again, that's his business. And May started out with a very, very small amount, that she could spend. But look where she is now. And that's her business. She can decide that. But the support part of it, being able to be part of that community and have that not by yourself is really an important factor.
And you're talking about one of our certified coaches there, May Alvarez.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She started in our community several years ago with, what was it, like $200?
$200 or $300, barely anything.
And now she has 10 VAs, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I'm bringing this up because May is going to be our guest here next week on Saturday Morning Live, and she's going to be instructing on another sourcing method. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah. Well, I love that you've been able to be here this morning with us, Aaron, share your history, your very strong affinity for your business. I think you clearly really love your Amazon business. You enjoy it. You enjoy being in the community. I love your engagement there. It struck me that both you and Ed were subscribers of mine from years of yore. And that when you bring up that phrase from the previous industry, I'm glad you're applying it here. You're not in business for yourself. How did that go again? How did you say it?
It's in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Business for yourself, but not by yourself. Perfect. I love it. That's us here. Awesome. Well, we're going to get into some announcements, but can you all give Aaron here some love, a high five in the thread, please, for Aaron being here and sharing his success with you all, and that I hope you've all learned some pretty interesting things. I think we have some new folks here, so I'm sure they're immensely intrigued. On that note, let me ask you, Aaron, can you just speak to the new folks who are watching, wondering about the validity of, should they do an Amazon business? And then also about e-commerce business school, if you could speak to that to the new folks here.
Sure. Yeah, I think that there's probably some that are kicking the tires trying to decide whether it's a real deal. And it is a business, I will say that. There is no get rich quick. But again, as we said before, it's $39 a month to have an Amazon professional account. As far as the business expense is concerned, you're always going to have expenses in business. My construction business has thousands of dollars, in expenses. Just phone for my business is, several $1,000s a year. So there's business expenses involved, but the value that you get, I think, from EBS, from the mentoring, the training that's in there, is invaluable. If you want to go it on your own, you can. But I was talking with Brian last week when we were discussing this. The amount of the loss that you will get from not getting started, the profits you're going to miss out on by not just getting started now and starting to get into profit, you're probably going to be a year or two down the road till you really get a hold of it and get profit. Where could you be a year or two down the road if you started now instead? If you got ahead of the learning curve, if you get all that information. You were talking about the real estate part and how you went through the mistakes. And Brian, the same thing with book flipping. In the beginning, you bought the wrong things. See, all that stuff is taken. You don't have to go through those hard knocks with this. You can start at the end instead of starting at the beginning and get a jump start on your business.
Awesome. Very well said. Thank you very, very much, Aaron. All righty. We're going to go through some closing slides here. Okay. We have something very special. Let's see if that's right after here. Yeah. Okay. So this is for our Peak graduates only. So we're just trying to get, wave our hand, get the attention of the Peak graduates. We have a very special training call coming up with Ed Dassey, and that's how to triple your business in your next 90-day sprint through the 3 pillars of e-commerce scaling. You're through Peak. Now we're going to go for the big scale. And Ed just did 100,000 Q1 here. His last 3 months, he just pulled in 100K. So he's on a really nice trajectory. He's actually 5x'd his business from a year ago. So we're going to be sharing that this coming Wednesday, April 21st at 8 p.m. CT. And for all the Peak graduates, look for the registration link in your inbox. It'll start going out on Sunday. Okay. So look for that. And then, as Brian mentioned earlier, May Alvarez, she came into our program in 2018, I believe it was. And she's a homeschool mom. She's got a PhD in, I think it's biochemistry, and has chosen to be an entrepreneur and went out, trying a lot of different things, failed a lot of things that didn't work. And it wasn't until she came to e-commerce business school that she finally hit success, where she wanted to be more in the driver's seat of creating the income for her family household outside the scope of the work she had done to achieve her PhD. But nonetheless, she's done very well. She's got a team of, what did you say, Brian, 11 BAs?
I think 10 at this moment, 9 or 10.
10. Mm-hmm. Okay. She's got 2 businesses now, her own Amazon business, and has added another business into the mix while having 3 little children. So it kind of gives you an idea of what can be done through this e-commerce space. So that's next Saturday. And then for those of you who are new and learning about us, you can go to joinebs.com. That's our home page. And then we're on to our next slide, which is hustle. Aaron, fair enough to say we do teach people to hustle?
Hustle. Got my shirt on.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me just,
Hustle
looking
hard.
at my slides. Oh, all right. I love it. That's perfect. I am a big believer in getting that hustle. If you want results, you better hustle. So that hustle harder. And then heart. Is what sets us apart. So again, give Erin some love in the section there, as through the comment section, give some love there. And again, go to our homepage to access the free training that we have and many student success stories. Especially if you go to our blog, you're going to be able to watch numerous case studies and people coming from all walks of life to shift into this amazing, wonderful world of e-commerce. So again, thank you everyone for being here. And thank you, Aaron, for carving out time and putting together your information. And Brian,
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I love having our success students be with us. Brian, I know you got a busy day, but we're hopping in another training call yet. So, but thanks again, everyone, for being here. And we'll see you all next Saturday at 9 a.m. Central. Till then, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.